Now, the latest FNB BER Construction Confidence Index increased by 6 points from 45 to 51 in the third quarter of this year. Now, this shows that confidence in the construction sector is rising despite there being lower building activity. Now, joining us now on the line to explain a little bit more is Sizwe Ngwadlana, Chief Economist at FNB. Sizwe, taking a look at these numbers, confidence increasing. I'm a bit surprised by that. I thought that the construction sector was in turmoil.
Yeah, well, if you look at where the current levels are, it's indicative of an equal split between those respondents from the construction industry that are satisfied with current business conditions and those that aren't satisfied. So we are neutral. We've come from a situation where confidence levels were sitting at about 25% 2 to 3 years ago. So we've doubled since then. But we are still significantly below the peak levels that occurred in the lead up to the World Cup, where we had confidence levels approaching 100. So we are at very neutral levels at present, and I think it's indicative of some improvement relative to 2 years ago, but obviously still a long way to go.
Sizwe, taking a look at the construction sector, we know that recently the Competition Commission fined several of those companies for colluding, rather. And not only that, but Avenge lost its chief executive, Roger Jardine. Are you saying that the only way is up now?
Well, I'm sure that now, in terms of, for example, earnings visibility for the sector, given the fact that we're almost over that competition commission hump, that looking forward, earnings visibility is likely to improve, and that should be better in terms of conditions for the civil construction industry. Of course, that also is reflected in the fact that we are seeing a slight uptick in margins going forward, and this is reflected in the fact that within our survey, there's been some resilience in the question on profitability, which has not declined, even though we've had the Competition Commission issues, and even though we saw in the quarter a slight moderation in the demand for work for civil contractors.
Sizwe, while you've been talking, we've had on the screen a graph showing the way that the confidence index has been rising. Do you think it's possible that with the 4 trillion rand that the country is supposedly going to be spending soon on infrastructure, that we can get back to those record levels of 2006, 2007?
We haven't seen significant evidence of that coming through, unfortunately, Alex, but I think that would be the game changer. That coupled with improving mining capex. But if we actually look at the underlying numbers, we don't think that confidence by the general government and also capex by the public corporations is going to be very strong over the next couple of months. Certainly, the fiscal numbers are showing a moderation, and also the private sector numbers are also quite moderate. So that 4 trillion we don't see coming through, and also in the private sector side in terms of mining capex, we also don't see that coming through at present. So we expect these confidence levels to possibly remain range bound around the level that we've seen over this calendar year, which is essentially between 40 and 50, so around neutral.
Sizwe, we know that labour unrest is a constant feature in many sectors in the South African economy. We also see it having a negative impact with regard to our vehicle manufacturers. Is it still a concern for the construction companies?
No, I think it's been a very big concern. I think the leg down in confidence that we saw during the third quarter, essentially the second quarter, was a function of this protracted labour unrest, particularly within the construction sector. But I think part of the reason why we saw a slight tick up in the third quarter was because there has been some abatement in terms of the labour strike. We know that Newman Safsec signed a new agreement that ended the construction strike on the 12th of September. We also know that coal sector employers also signed a 2-year wage agreement, which averted the disruptions of coal supplies to Eskom, and that Eskom itself also signed a new wage agreement with on the employment side, or the Kusile and Medupi construction side. So we think that there is a bit of an abatement in the labour unrest that's likely to occur over the fourth quarter of this year. which started in the third quarter, and perhaps that's why confidence improved slightly despite the fact that activity levels declined.